That's how a cult works.
So there was no insurrection. Trump didn't want to overthrow the government. Thank you for admitting that. Actually, they do. Who pays for the hotels that they're staying at in New York City, in Chicago? Well, who's paying for those hotels? Who's paying for that room and board?
I imagine there's probably federal money allocated to people.
And where does the federal government get its money?
From the, I mean,
U.S.
from the U.S.
taxpayers.
Treasury, sure, yeah.
U.S. taxpayer. So you are paying for illegal immigrants' housing. Thank you very much.
He said that 25% of conservatives, probably Owen included, believe in satanic sex cults, okay, that like Hillary Clinton and Podesta belong to, okay, where they perform blood sacrifice rituals on children, all right?
Did you read
the silence?
Did
Crazy,
you read?
isn't it?
There's no silence. You just won't shut up. Did you read the WikiLeaks emails in 2016? Did you hear about Abramovich? Did you hear about the spirit cookings? Did you hear about the children in the hot tub for your entertainment?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. We have a very heated debate for you guys to watch today between conservative Owen Schreier and our favorite blue-haired cuck, S.D.N.Y. Even though he doesn't have blue hair anymore, I love the nickname, and this started off so disrespectfully. Owen goes to shake the man's hand. He refuses to. Typical modern-day Democrat move. As usual, the timestamps are in the video. You can skip to whatever part you want of the debate. Let's get it.
Was in 2016, I think conservatives, Democrats said that it was a waste of money, it wasn't a good idea, and then now that Kamala is proposing a wall, why is it now a good idea? Was the gist of the, yeah. The idea that immigration policy could be boiled down to having a wall or not is childish. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into making good immigration policy. But the reality is most people, especially conservatives, don't think that illegal immigration is a big problem in the United States right now. It's very, very, very easy to prove this. Because if you look at what happened on the border, you saw that there was a bill in Congress to address those issues at the border. Everybody was on board with voting for this until Donald Trump came in and said, no, I need you to keep the border open because I need to run on this as an election issue. You can listen to McConnell talk about it. You can listen to Cruz talk about this. All of this is open testimony. It's not even testimony. You're able to say to the media. Donald Trump said, I can't have you pass this border bill because it's going to make it so that I don't have something to run on. That doesn't sound like a very big problem to me. That sounds like politicking. Much the same, when Donald Trump was in office, Donald Trump didn't do any of the things that he said he would do at the border. He didn't get any legislation passed. He didn't make any substantive changes legislatively or through the legislature by working with them to actually effect any good border policy. He didn't get any money from Mexico. That was a complete and total lie. He failed on basically every single measurable outcome. He wasn't able to do anything. So again, if you think that the border is a problem, why would Trump be your guy to fix it? He did nothing except for what he could with executive action, and he's not able to lead the Congress in getting any comprehensive immigration stuff done. And the one time there was a good bill on the table that would have alleviated a lot of the issues with the asylum-seeking process, he shot it down. This guy over here is probably very keen to misinfo a lot of the stuff about the border bill, so I'll get ahead of a few of it because I know a lot of the dumb talking points, like the $200 billion in aid, the majority of which is used weapons, which last I checked can't help anybody with their health care in the United States. But for instance, when people talk about the border bill, they'll say stupid things like, well, that bill would have let 5,000 people a day in. No, what that bill would have done is if the caps hit a certain level or exceeded a certain level, the federal government would have been able to unilaterally shut the border down, which would have actually prevented more people from coming in if numbers got too high until the numbers had come back down. This bill would have allowed for more asylum judges to be paid for so that we could work through the backlog of people better. This bill would have allowed for more border security and for more people to prevent people from coming over illegally across the border. This bill would have helped a lot of the problems at the border, but Republicans were more keen to see a fight over politics rather than alleviating the problem. So I guess it was never really that big of a problem to begin with.
Thank you. And Owen, you have 3 minutes to respond.
Well, that's just a blatant misrepresentation of the congressional bill. It was never going to permanently shut down the border. It was going to set a cap per day, which would have maxed out still over 1 million border crossings per year. And they love to play this game with asylum. They're basically just rewriting the laws, and so anybody can seek asylum. Anybody can get on the app, the CBP One app, and claim to be an asylum seeker. This is not asylum. Asylum seekers go to their bordering country. That's an asylum seeker. These are people who are coming to the United States of America for free food, free health care, a hotel to stay at, and a free transportation trip wherever they want to go. That's why they're coming here, and they basically rewritten the laws where everybody is rubber stamped as an asylum seeker. So you can sit here and say, oh, asylum seekers, asylum seekers. Well, anybody and everybody from all across the planet can come here and now claim to be an asylum seeker, and you're just rewriting the phrase and the concept of illegal immigration. But you're just wrong. It's still over $1 million a year on this bill, but still you're completely misrepresenting it. The reason why the Republicans decided not to vote for this bill is because it did include all the pork barrel spending. This is how corrupt Congress is, and both sides do it. The Republicans and the Democrats do it. They've been doing it for years. They just tried to do it again on the continued resolution, but they couldn't even get the SAVE Act passed. So they'll have a bill with a major issue. Let's say it's border security. And then they'll pork barrel funding of all these different projects, all these different things that a governor over here might want, a representative over here might want, a senator over here might want. And they toss it all into this bill and they say, this is the border security bill. And then if you don't sign it, you're not for border security. And it's just a game. It's a game that our politicians have been playing against us, all of us, for years. So, yeah, I'm glad that the Republicans didn't do it in a rare moment, but yeah, are they still going to get the pork barrel they want? Yes. Are we still going to get all the illegal immigration that they want? Yes. So we still lose on that issue. Now, again, to sit here and pretend like the border was less secure or not secure under Donald Trump is just not being honest. The numbers are proven that the border crossings were down under Donald Trump. And every year since the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration has been in power, you've had a record number of illegal crossings. 3 straight years. And by the way, where are the 325,000 missing children that they have let in? Why did Kamala Harris cancel the border wall construction that was already paid for but now pretends to do it? It's because she's a flip-flopper and she'll say whatever she needs to get fools like this to vote for.
Destiny gets cooked like this whole debate. The whole debate. It's a beautiful thing to see. How can Destiny even defend this when 2 million people a year have crossed the border illegally? Maybe more. Some estimate more since the Biden-Harris administration has been in office. That has cost the American taxpayers a total of over $200 billion. $200 billion, that's what it be? To house, feed, and give Medicare to illegal, can't take care of our own people when a hurricane hits, but we have all this money for the migrants. And we're housing them and feeding them and giving them Medicare. And now they're not even crossing the border illegally, a lot of them. They're coming in and flying them in. And you know where they fly them in? They fly them in to generally swing states. They fly them into Ohio. They fly them into Nevada. They fly them into Pennsylvania. They're buying voters. They're trying to make this a one-party state. These illegals also that come in, they take jobs away from low-skilled Americans. All these Democrats that are going out there saying, no, they're not taking jobs away from Americans. They're doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do. This is BS. You think there's some jobs out there if an American needs a job that they just don't want to do if it's available to them to feed their family? No. What's happening is a lot of these employers, especially in the farm industry, are paying migrants pennies on the dollar instead of paying an American the minimum wage or the going wage because they can save some money. I totally get it from the illegal immigrants' point of view, right? You come into a country illegally, you might even be able to get citizenship. You're getting food, housing, you have opportunity, we have rule of law. These damn Democrats, they got to start looking at it from the American point of view, from the American taxpayer point of view. We have a fentanyl crisis, a homeless crisis, an inflation crisis, a housing market that's through the roof. It's insane. Let's get back to the video.
First of all, what cities are so expensive to live in? Democrat-run cities. And again, he talks about redistribution.
Is this the open?
You talk about redistribution
again. When those cities are expensive, do you acknowledge that those cities produce more economic output for the country than all the red cities? This is what I mean when I say these people don't live in reality. But like, why can't you acknowledge that? Because you'll very quickly say things like, oh, well, there are more homicides in Chicago. Yeah, there's more people that live in Chicago. And Chicago is what makes Illinois all its money. That's where the money comes from, or the blue cities. It's not just blue states that subsidize the existence of red states, which is true. And by the way, all of those governors were so happy for the American Rescue Plan when Biden was there to hand out money to shore up their budgets. But then when you want to talk about expenses and living and all these other things, now you want to talk about how blue cities need to be held responsible, but you don't give them credit for the economic output? It's insane.
It's a nice deflection. So Democrat cities are the most expensive to live in, so I'm glad you at least acknowledge that. And again,
more expensive to live in the U.S. than Uganda as well, right? It is, right?
So you can always volunteer to pay more, all right? If you want to redistribute wealth, you can be the hero, man. You can empty your bank account right now, but I bet you don't. I bet you're actually living pretty rich. I bet you do pretty well. And you want to bring up the Constitution. The Constitution actually states when the United States government becomes corrupt, it's our duty to reform the government. That's actually
what article
in the
clause is that? Is to terminate to suspend the rules of Constitution? Which Constitution are we talking about?
We live in a constitutional republic. We don't live in a democracy.
What is the contradiction there? What do you think? Hold on. What is a republic and what is a democracy?
A democracy is where a bunch of lunatics like you can vote away my rights. A democracy is where 3 wolves and a sheep vote what's for dinner.
Is that Article 5 or Article 6? I don't know what part of the
So you
Constitution.
asked what a democracy
So a
was.
democracy is when
We
multiple
have-
people vote. A republic is when you have representatives that do things for you. We are a representative democracy. That's why we're a constitutional republic. We are both a republic, which just means you're not a monarchy, and a democracy. This idea that we must be a republic because I'm a Republican and we're not a democracy because you're a Democrat is fucking retarded. Come on.
So again, we live in a constitutional republic where we have unalienable rights given to us by God, the Creator. Democrats don't want you to know that because they want to be able to vote away your rights, like they want to be able to vote away your Second Amendment rights, vote away your First Amendment rights, and they'll go right down the line, okay? So that's why these people love democracy, because
When we
they
say
want
vote
to be
away
able
your
to
rights, are we
vote
talking
away your
about
rights.
abortion that we lost to a conservative Supreme
what
Court?
bill- what
Are we talking
bill
about the
of
Second
rights?
Amendment when Donald Trump did the bump stock ban? I'm sorry, how
a
were your
bad
gun
ban.
rights attacked under Biden?
It was a bad ban. I
And they
agree.
came under Donald Trump, so why would he be the guy, a guy, no offense, but a liberal from New York, which is what Donald Trump is, that's the guy that you want defending your gun rights?
So you now have the President of the United States and the Vice President and the next would-be Vice President, Tim Walz, have all said they want an assault weapons ban, okay? What even is an assault weapon? Can you tell me?
A scary big black rifle that Democrats have been crying about for 30 years. They haven't banned it yet. I don't think they're going to ban it in this administration.
Very intellectual. By the way, what is a rich person's fair share?
What is a rich person's fair share? I think that the level of taxation should match appropriately the spending that we want from our federal government. Also, the reason what you asked
So
me an
what
assault
is a
rifle, there
fair
is no
share?
definition
So
for an
what
assault rifle.
is
I
a fair
acknowledge that.
share?
I don't want to ban assault rifles. Tim Walz and Kamala Harris both own firearms. Walz is a hunter. When was the last time you saw Trump with a firearm? I watched Roseanne, it was Roseanne, I think, with a firearm, right? Where she almost killed herself on a Twitter video with one? Jesus Christ.
So what, in the Bill of Rights, where is abortion mentioned?
Do you want to get into the constitutional legal construction of the penumbra of rights that are invoked when you try to get like the right to privacy
You
out of
brought up,
the 14th
you
of
said,
the night?
you claim there's a right to an abortion, it just
I didn't
doesn't
claim
exist.
there was a right to an abortion. Technically, the abortion right comes from a right to privacy, but we'd have to go over Casey and Roe, and I'm sure that you're not familiar with any of those Supreme Court cases, or probably any Supreme Court case. But the reality is that before you had a protected right to seek an abortion, now you don't. Republicans took that from you. Before you had the right to own a bump stock, Donald Trump banned bump stocks through executive action, by the way.
Which lost at the Supreme Court.
Which what?
Lost at the Supreme Court.
Well, that hasn't stopped him in the past from going back over and over again to try to get cases tossed or to try to get
Hey
favorable
man, I don't
rulings,
live in
so-
a cult. I said I have disagreements with Donald Trump. So you can attack me on Trump's policies that I disagree with. That's not a win for you.
I agree I can't win attacking you on Trump's policies because he has none. I mean, what am I mean, yeah, what can you give me what is one Trump policy that he's running on besides 20% tariffs?
Secure border.
That's not a policy.
Cut
That's like
taxes.
an idea. That's the concept of an idea of a policy.
Stopping war.
Okay.
What are Harris policies that are so great?
Well, the 3 that she listed immediately is she wanted to give a $50,000 rollover deduction to new startups for small businesses. So
That
when
was
they start
Trump's
to earn-
idea?
What?
Trump did that. When he was
maybe
president.
he should have spoke it. I don't know if he's too senile
No, you
now or
probably
he's
just
lost the
weren't
ability
watching.
to do it. What?
You just weren't watching.
I was watching. Unfortunately, I watched too much Trump. That was one. A second thing she wanted to do was expand the child tax credit, which was incredibly successful under Biden.
Also a Trump policy.
It wasn't. That's why it happened under Biden, and it's why the Republicans initially fought against it. Are we going to say that pre-existing conditions in the ACA was a Trump policy now as well? I know that he wants to take care of that one. And then the third thing that Kamala Harris said is she wanted to do a $15,000 first-time home buyer credit to people that were buying homes for the first time. Donald Trump said he wanted
For
to
illegal immigrants.
How does I'm so curious. How do you think these tax credits work?
You do realize that they give money to illegal immigrants to buy houses?
I don't think you know how any of this works because I think you were probably born a rich kid and you never bought a house on an FHA loan before. So I had a tax credit when I bought a house. The way that these work is you apply for these refundable tax credits when you get them at the end of the year when you've qualified for them. An illegal immigrant definitionally doesn't file taxes because they don't have social security numbers. They don't get money back from the government. So how would an illegal immigrant qualify for a tax credit? Again, this doesn't make any sense. It's like the hurricane
I agree.
machines.
It doesn't make any sense. This is the Democrat policy. I completely agree. It doesn't make any sense at all. So
Where are
thank
these
you.
lazy people that are coming over and not working and not getting jobs, getting the money for homes?
The U.S. government.
They pay them for the homes too? Then why even give them the tax credit? Why not just give them the homes outright? What
Don't
the
give them
fuck
any
are we talking
ideas.
about?
They might do that next. They might actually do that next.
Where are they getting all these?
Actually, they do.
Yeah.
Actually, they do. Who pays for the hotels that they're staying at in New York City, in Chicago? Well, who's paying for those hotels? Who's paying for that room and board?
I imagine there's probably federal money allocated to
And
people
where does
that
the
are part of
federal government get its money?
From the, I mean, technically
U.S.
from the U.S.
taxpayers.
Treasury, sure, yeah.
U.S. taxpayer. So you are paying for illegal immigrants' housing. Thank you very much.
I don't know what Destiny's talking about. The tax credit for houses, all that's going to do, that $25,000 tax credit, is just going to drive up the housing market anyway. But even if illegal aliens can't apply for that, we are still giving them money. I made a whole video about this. They've been exposed. There's journalists talking about it. You can go check that out. Some of them go through FEMA. They go through other means. When they're flown in from Haiti and all these other countries, they're automatically given stuff when they're landing. They're given a home. They're given money. They're given cash vouchers. Again, I've made videos on this stuff. This tax credit's a different thing. It's also a ridiculous thing. The whole Harris plan, and look, let me just touch on the gun thing for 1 second. One, we have the First Amendment only still because we have the Second Amendment, and I firmly believe this. But just because somebody doesn't own a gun, I know Republicans that don't own guns, that live in big cities. It doesn't mean you're anti-Second Amendment just because you would be somebody that doesn't own one. I own one. I believe in home defense. Even if you're not an avid hunter or don't necessarily like shooting guns, you should still probably have a home defense system. I'd recommend to you a nice Mossberg Maverick 88, easy to shoot. Everybody can learn it. You can learn it in a day. Fire it a couple of times, leave it loaded, put it away. Hopefully you never have to use it. Have some home defense. The fact that Tim Walz and Kamala Harris own guns, which do they? At the same time, this idea that they have that fewer guns equal less crime, one, is not true. In theory, if all the guns would be legal and there would be no crime in the world, maybe. You look at the big cities that they're talking about. Look at the crime amongst black people. Black people die every year. 12,000 plus black people are killed every year by guns, mostly from gang shootings, mostly from illegal guns, not by cops, not by white people. And if you look at countries like Brazil, who have 5 times less guns than America, but yet have 5 times more gun crime per capita, it's insane. Harsher punishment for criminals, I'm all for. You find a man out there robbing somebody, shooting someone, just having an illegal weapon, lock him up. We should have harsher punishments for hard crimes anyway. Enough of this catch and release BS, especially when it comes to the migrants. Deport them automatically. But don't punish good law-abiding Americans who are following the rules, because these are not the people committing crimes with their guns. Let's get back to it.
Do we acknowledge that Trump probably lost 2020? Have we gotten over that yet? Or
No, I don't want to relitigate that, but I would be happy to show you the results on the graphs where at 3:30 in the morning in 4 states, Biden's votes go straight up. Is that normal?
No, it's not normal.
So what do you think that is?
I think that just like every single person before the election said, there was an unprecedented amount of mail-in voting.
And they were all for Biden.
A lot of them were. Did you
Of
not
course.
listen?
Of course they were.
Of course they were.
And they all came right at 3:30 in the
Because
morning.
Donald Trump spent a year in the lead-up telling his people, don't vote via mail-in ballot.
You are so
Do you remember
gullible,
that
man.
happening? Did you watch Donald Trump for a year
You are
say,
so
we don't
gullible.
vote via mail-in ballot, we go to the polls and vote? And you know why he did that? We know why he did that. Because Roger Stone and Manafort, 2 corrupt lunatics that Donald Trump has both given full pardons to, by the way, are on recorded audio saying Donald Trump is just going to declare himself the victor on the night of the election because he knows he's going to get destroyed when the mail-in ballots start coming.
And did Donald Trump declare himself the victor, or did he leave the White House?
Do what?
Did Donald Trump leave the White House?
After a failed insurrection, yes.
A failed insurrection. Who ran the insurrection?
Donald Trump and the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and everybody that broke into the Capitol and delayed the certification of the vote.
Do you really believe that?
Was the vote certification delayed?
What is an insurrection?
Wait. Was the vote?
Hold on.
Was the vote certification delayed on January 6th?
No, it went through. They certified. Did Trump?
Hold on. I'm so sorry. I don't know who you're answering right now. Was the vote certification delayed? Was Congress called out of session on January 6th?
Yes, I think for a couple hours.
For several hours.
So by the end of the day,
why were they called out of session?
So by the end of the day,
you see how we can't live in reality? You see how this doesn't work? The country doesn't
no.
function when you have people
if you
that
want to go
refuse
back
to
and call
accept.
this an insurrection,
The craziest thing is, it's all on video. We've seen all of this.
So
None of this is a mystery.
Tell
right?
me what an insurrection is. Just define it for me.
I don't have to define it for you. I'm just asking simple questions. On January 6th, there was a certification of the vote. That vote was disrupted by violence.
All right,
If you want to get into
okay.
what an insurrection is, you could say that it was a crowd of people that had gathered with a common purpose to use the means of violence or intimidation to disrupt an official federal proceeding, such as the certification of the 2020 vote, the outcome of that election, which is why it would probably qualify as an insurrection.
Okay. How many guns were at this insurrection?
You don't need a gun for an insurrection.
Zero.
Zero? Wait, the
and
cops
how many,
didn't have any guns?
Oh, the cops had a gun. That's right. They killed an innocent
so that
person.
was what you just said, which is
That's
wrong.
right. They killed an innocent
Shot
person.
with a slingshot? What do you mean there were zero guns at the insurrection?
So, okay,
You don't
so
think
the
any of
government
people on
had the
Capitol
guns.
go-
So
you don't
that's
think-
good. So that's what happens
Wait,
when only the
hold on.
government has the guns.
Just to be clear here, none of the people on the grounds of the Capitol had any firearms on them? Not a
No,
single
not a
one.
single one.
Really? Not even though the Secret Service said 80% of the people that were at the ellipse just an hour earlier listening to Trump's speech didn't go through the magnometers because they saw people in the crowd that had firearms they didn't want to go through that all marched to the Capitol building. What, did they drop their gun off at a hotel? Did they give it to a friendly police officer?
Not
did
a
they find a
single
fellow
gun.
DC BLM guy to hold onto their rifles?
Not a single gun was ever recovered or on record at the January 6th insurrection.
Oh, recovered.
And
Well,
what
now
type of
that's
an
a different- how many
insurrection?
pipe bombs were
what
found
type
at the,
of
at
That's
the,
a
January
great
6th
question,
event?
actually. Who laid those pipe bombs?
We don't know. We never found out.
We don't know. How convenient. The government can recognize somebody's earlobe in a video and track them down and go arrest them in the middle of a hurricane, by the way. The FBI went into North Carolina in the middle of a hurricane and arrested somebody, but they can't find who laid the pipe bombs. They have no idea. And Kamala Harris doesn't remember where she was that day either, even though one of the bombs was allegedly right outside of her office. She has no idea. She's changing her story. But what
It's
type
all
of an insurrection?
no one is changing the story. You guys filmed this
Kamala
from start
has
to
changed
finish.
the story.
We can
Kamala
watch
has
you
changed the
guys
story.
cheering for it. We can watch you cheering 1776. What was
I know
1776?
you hate 1776.
Wait, I'm
I know
curious.
you hate
What
that.
was 1776? What was that?
That was the founding of the country.
What was it? What was the event? What would you call that?
When we overthrew royalty and created
against the government, would you call
created
it
a constitutional republic.
Would you call that an insurrection?
No.
No. 1776, the revolutionary. You wouldn't call that an
So are you
insurrection?
pro-insurrection now? You just babble and stammer so much, I can't figure out where you're at. Tell me what kind of an insurrection, when an emergency notice goes out to go home, everybody goes home and calls it a day. Is that
What kind of an insurrection ends when the leader tells his followers to go home? All of them.
Perfect.
That's kind of how it works. That's how a cult works.
So there was no insurrection. Trump didn't want to overthrow the government. Thank you for admitting that. That wasn't too hard to get out of.
You're going to try to tell me that there was no mail-in ballots. Once the mail-in ballots started getting counted, Biden became the most voted for president in history. Biden? Really? Does anyone believe that? Even if you're a Democrat and you want to believe this, you would have to think, Biden? Really? That was the guy that most voted for president in history? I don't think so. Something's afoot. Get back to the video.
Every election in the 21st century, the Democrats have denied they lost.
Which vote
They denied
certification?
that Al Gore lost, they denied that John Kerry lost, and they denied that Hillary Clinton lost. And yes, they went to Congress and tried to stop the certification of the vote.
Really? What did they do for
That has
Gore?
happened every
What did they do
time.
for Gore?
And they'll
Wait,
likely
wait,
do the
when did they
exact
stop?
same thing.
There's nothing.
When Trump wins in 2024, they'll likely do the exact same thing, just like Raskin has already said. The Democrats are already plotting not to certify the 2024 election because they know Trump is going to win.
It's fantastic delusion.
It's mainstream news. Anybody can pull it up on their phones right now. Jamie Raskin won't certify election results. Go ahead, plug it in.
We only have
You got it right there, don't you? Yeah, it's right there.
we only have several minutes of the opening.
Do you think Gogeta or Vegito would win in a fight? It's frustrating. I guess the saddest thing is that as much as I can't stand conservatives because I'm a liberal/progressive, at the very least, I felt like we were all kind of in the same boat. We were all kind of like the same country, and we were all presenting at least a unified front to the rest of the world. And as much as conservatives and Democrats might have hated each other, at least we were all Americans at the end of the day.
And when
right?
did that change?
When did that change? Well, a big change.
When Donald Trump became president of the United States. And they lost their mind because they couldn't control him, they couldn't bully him, they couldn't get him to bow down to political correctness, and so this is them, stuttering and spamming all over the place like lunatics, trying to get Donald Trump killed, assaulting Trump supporters, and lost their minds. Why do you think Elon Musk left the Democrat Party? Why do you think Tulsi Gabbard left the Democrat Party? Why are so many Democrats like Vernon Jones leaving the Democrat Party? Because this This is your Democrat voter right here. Nobody wants to be a part of this psychotic movement anymore. Nobody.
Psychotic movement when you guys
Yes,
literally
psychotic.
try. You guys
want to
invaded
trans
the
kids.
Capitol.
Your side believes in trans kids.
Who wants to
Your
trans
side
kids?
wants to pay for trans
Most
surgeries
people
in
aren't
the
okay
prisons.
with it. You guys
Your
won't even
side
acknowledge
lets in
what
10
you've
million
done.
illegal immigrants.
Oh
Your
my
side starts
God.
wars all over the world. Our side is the party of sanity and the party of common sense. And if you can't see that in this debate, then you're never going to see it.
You're never gonna. The party of sanity is the party that doesn't believe in dinosaurs and thinks that we create hurricanes.
What are you talking about?
Do you believe in dinosaurs? You think
What
they're
is this
real?
dinosaurs?
Wait,
What are you talking about
Do you
dinosaurs?
think the dinosaurs
Do you
ever
play
roam
with
the earth?
dinosaur
Do you
toys?
think the
Why do you
dinosaurs?
bring this up?
Do you think the dinosaurs
Is that
ever
a
roam the
dinosaur
earth?
on your necklace right there? What
Do you
is
ever
that?
think? Do you think the dinosaurs roam the earth?
I'm not here to talk about dinosaurs.
It's insanity. It's crazy.
Owen's right. There's so many, I see it in the comment section all the time. There are so many what you would have called old school liberals, old school Democrats, maybe libertarians that are switching sides now because the Republican Party of today is not the Republican Party of old. I'm not a registered Republican. I consider myself a conservative person. But if everything switched up and the Democrats became the party that all of a sudden aligned with my morals and ethic, I would vote for them. I'm not changing as a person. I have very conservative values. If everything starts to change and flip around, I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm a big Trump guy. I vote for him because I like Trump. Next election, shit hits the fan and everything gets switched around, which it won't, but you never know. I'll assess at that point. My values as a person don't change. But this way, Bobby Kennedy, this way, Tulsi Gabbard, and all these people going, okay, the left has now gone too far. They're more libertarian views. Maybe they were lefts, but they are not leftists. We very much know that there are times in history in certain countries that the right has gone too far. We know what that looks like, but now we're at a point that the left has gone too far. And that's why you're seeing all of these people coming over to our side, to more what we would call today conservative values. Now, I'm more conservative than I would say most of my Republican friends. A lot of them are just old school liberals that are now, this party seems to align more with their values than the Democrats. Look, they got Dick and Liz Cheney now. Dick and Liz Cheney, really? Warmongers? This is who you're going to be proud to have in your party, but yet we have Elon Musk, Tulsi, Bobby Kennedy, Vivek Ramaswamy. Yeah, give me that team. Give me that team instead of Dick Cheney and a bunch of woke celebrities. Let's get back to it.
Say if Trump wins or if Trump loses?
If he wins.
If he wins. Well, I think what happens is probably the same whether he wins or loses. I think what Trump has done is he's basically remade the Republican Party, and so you kind of have the old neocon establishment type that you no longer see at Republican events anymore. George Bush is not a popular Republican. Dick Cheney is not a popular Republican. John McCain is not a popular Republican. Even Nikki Haley and Lindsey Graham get booed when they go to Trump rallies. So that's kind of the establishment right, if you will. The Republican voter base and really the populism that is behind the Republican Party has now, behind Donald Trump specifically, I think has now taken it over. So I don't think that's going to change. I think future candidates are going to sound more like Donald Trump. They're going to sound more like Vivek Ramaswamy. I think the message is going to be smaller government, true conservatism. I think the message is going to be stop funding foreign wars, foreign aid. I think the message is going to be bring back manufacturing, mostly common sense stuff. But I think that the thrust behind this populist movement is that we understand there's government corruption, we understand that there's mainstream media corruption, and we want a representative as our president, as our representatives in Congress who know that, who talk like us, who think like us, and aren't going to be afraid to say it out loud. So I think it's kind of a permanent reformation of the Republican Party post-Donald Trump, whether he wins or loses this election.
Guys, if you don't mind doing your boy a favor, smashing that thumbs up button for me. And if this is not your first time here, as I normally like to say, and you enjoyed this video, and you're not yet subscribed, hopefully this will be the day in which I can earn your subscription. Let's get back to it.
My question is geared mostly towards Schreier. You mentioned no foreign wars under Trump. In 2017, on Inauguration Day, I deployed and we dropped a record number of bombs in a single deployment on Syria until our record was beat by the Truman the year after that. What do you mean no foreign wars under Trump?
So are you referring to the airstrike on the airport strip?
No.
Which one are you referring to?
The fight against ISIS during Operation Inherent Resolve.
Okay, so I would say that was a war that he inherited. I would say he didn't start that war. I think it was an inherited war. Now, you can argue whether you think we did good in that or bad in that. We could sit here and argue about the Biden pullout of Afghanistan. I think these were wars that Trump inherited. The decisions he made to try to end them, just like the decisions that Biden made to try to end them, you can debate. But he didn't start any new wars. So I think that's the distinction here. These were wars that were already ongoing for years and years. Past administrations, Obama, Bush, Republican, Democrat, didn't matter. So I wouldn't say that that was a started war. These were wars that he inherited. But I think that the general perspective to understand is that you didn't have the massive conflict in Ukraine, you didn't have the massive conflict in the Middle East, which we hope doesn't engulf us now, but they are now sending troops to both of those regions, and so I'd like to see that. I don't think there's enough being done by Trump either to stop these wars, to be honest. I'd like to see all these foreign wars stopped. I want to decouple from Israel. I want to decouple from the Middle East. I want to decouple from all of these foreign wars. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't even care if it makes us isolationists. We don't need the rest of the world. We can build everything we need here. We have enough energy here. I would decouple from all these foreign countries, internalize everything, and get out of all these wars to begin with.
The fact that there were no wars going on is ridiculous. Crimea was still invaded and held by Russia. The civil war in the Donbass that was being supported by Russia was still going on. And in the Middle East, you had the occupation of Crimea was 2014.
Obama.
Okay, was Trump not president when it was occupied? Exactly. And then the civil war in the Donbass, where Russia continued to escalate by sending in more troops and more forces. Did that happen under Trump?
So this is hilarious.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
say Trump-Russia collusion.
And then also for the Middle
Can I
East.
answer? Are you going to
No,
stutter
you didn't
and
answer. You're
babble?
not going to. No,
He's
you're not going to
babble
answer
again.
because
He's
you
going to
don't have
start
an answer to the
babbling like a
question.
baby.
That's why you're doing a ramble right now.
They say Trump-Russia collusion.
Russia collusion. Holy shit. We got our joggers on today.
He just admitted it.
When it came to the Middle East,
he just admitted
there was also
it.
still conflict in the Middle East. You had Iran attacking Saudi Arabia for the first time ever. You had the entire border riots, Great March of Return, it lasted for about a year in Israel. And you still had all the conflict in Syria. So the idea that there was no conflict in the Middle East is also delusional.
Okay, so again, the question was new wars. Russia invaded Ukraine when Obama was president. Russia invaded Ukraine again when Biden was president, not when Trump was president.
Destiny, you claimed that there was no money being given to foreign illegals for housing. They weren't buying houses. You're correct on that. But Christopher Rufo did a story. $3.8 billion from the ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act, was given to the state of Colorado, who in turn gave it to Boulder, Denver. They gave $5 million to resettle migrants. $350,000 of that a week was going out to migrants to pay for them in one apartment building. This was the CBZ, owned by CBZ Management in Aurora. So this was the same building that was taken over by illegal gangs. I'm wondering how you can sit there and say that there's no American taxpayer money going to these people when they're there doing it and taking over our country, literally.
So you also said that they were spending the money resettling migrants. That doesn't sound like money spent on illegals. It sounds like money spent resettling migrants, which is not illegals. But if I take the strongest version of your question, I mean, it's pretty undeniable. I'm sure the United States in some capacity spends money on illegal immigrants. I know that we provide housing, we provide, I'm pretty sure, food stipends. I know there's like some card that these guys obsess over that asylum seekers get when they come in here and they're waiting for their court cases. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we spend money on illegals. I wish we had comprehensive immigration reform. I do think that spending money on America is important, and I think that's a good argument. I think that when you look and you see, okay, well, even if it wasn't 200 billion, Destiny, it was 20 billion. Why are we spending $20 billion in Ukraine when my neighborhood is fucking falling apart, or my city doesn't have the money to pay for these things that I think are important? I think these are good questions. Okay. Democrats are not the ones that are trying to cut funding from schools and from cities and from infrastructure and from healthcare. When the fuck was the last time you heard a Republican say, we need to stop funding the war in Ukraine so that we can fund single-payer healthcare? We need to stop giving money to Israel so that we can do something about the homeless or the drug addicted or the mental illness in society. It's never like that. It's we need to stop funding here, and then we need to cut as much spending domestically as possible so that the fucking free market is going to take care of your problems? What, is Bezos going to walk you to the fucking ER and pay for your medical bill? Like, it's just insane. So I agree. I can understand. Like, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. The United States is a huge federal budget. We can pay for a lot of things. And I do think that sometimes our spending is a bit sad. But when you look at who's taking money away from spending on things like healthcare or childcare or any of the multitude of things that we need money spent on in this country, it's not Democrats, it's fucking Republicans. And the idea that cutting funding to some foreign war would all of a sudden open their hearts to domestic spending on welfare is ludicrous.
Actually, I'm a Republican, and I literally just said we should take money from foreign wars and spend it on America. So I literally just said that.
So you'd be for a public option over single-payer healthcare?
No, I didn't say that either.
Yeah, of course you didn't. Yeah.
But if you have more money in Americans' pockets, they can afford their own health care. See, if you get the government out of the transaction, then Americans have more money.
How does money going to Ukraine come back to American pockets if we cut the funding there?
So if government has $1 million and they spend $500,000 on a foreign country, how much money do they have left?
Well, the government, they run deficits. You should know. Donald Trump had the biggest deficits of all time. So
the answer is $500,000 versus what could have been $1 million. It's basic math. But it's funny, he now admits that we do pay for illegal immigrants.
You said earlier that the rich people are the ones who paid most of the taxes. So if the government stops spending, then the rich people are the ones keeping the money. Are they just going to give it to the poor people?
Which they do. The rich people do pay the most of the taxes. So thank you for at least bringing a small fact check here, because that's what now he has to admit that, yes, we do pay for illegal immigrants. And we shouldn't pay for any. We shouldn't pay for a single illegal.
Yeah, no new wars, Destiny. No new wars. Like a lot of people that listen to this channel, I'm a big believer in America first. I think we should take care of our people and not keep on funding these endless wars. The fact that we can give billions and billions of dollars to the Ukraine, and I know, look, I get it. It goes to the military-industrial complex. We build weapons. We give them weapons. Fair. I don't care. I don't care how you come to the analysis of being okay with this, that you have your own people starving and losing their homes, but we're giving money away to fund foreign wars and to foreign countries. Kamala Harris's tweet about, oh, we need to help the people of Lebanon because they're going through hard times. Yeah, look at your country, dummy. Look at your country. Never mind a hurricane, which that's bad enough already, and they should have been there and ready for that. Inflation is crazy. The border, the 2 million people that are crossing illegally every year. They're not sending, in the words of Trump, they're not sending us their best people. A lot of them turn to crime if they can't find work. We have a fentanyl crisis killing over 120,000 Americans every year, and that is climbing. A housing crisis is only going to get worse now with this wanting to tax on capital gains if she gets elected in this housing credit. Inflation, everything over the last 3 to 4 years has gone up. We have a homeless crisis in America. We have enough problems at home. And when I mentioned the migrant crisis and all the illegal immigrants coming in and committing crime, people always say, white people commit crimes too, and native-born Americans commit crimes too, not just illegals. Yeah, exactly. That is my point. We have enough problems already. We don't need to import the problems of other countries. We have enough problems with our own people. Let's clean this all up. Let's fix ourselves. Let's make sure that Americans have money to support themselves, to feed their family. Let's clean up the country. Then if we want to add some more legal immigrants to the country, that's fine. I'm pro-immigration. But you have to go through the right processes. Let's get back to it.
This growing rise in social conservatism among Generation Z youths. And I sort of wonder, as a 22-year-old, where I see a future in the Democratic Party for me, as someone who kind of leans left economically, more probably left-wing economically, not leans left, but someone who's sort of center-right socially. And I just don't really see a future right now. And so I'm kind of wondering, should the Democratic Party try and appeal to this growing rise in Gen Z voters? This is according to a Gallup poll and a Pew Research poll done in the last year. Should it try to appeal, or should it just kind of leave us in the dust? Because the Republican Party, I don't see a future where they start caring about Americans and funding single-payer health care and funding housing, unfortunately. But at the same time, I'm a bit unsatisfied with the Democratic Party's social turn. And so, yeah.
I think that the goal should be to tell all of your friends to vote for Kamala Harris so that the Democrats can win with the largest margin possible, so that we can load all of the insane fucking college tankies and progressives up into a fucking Elon Musk spaceship and send them off to the fucking moon, okay? This is an issue that I talk about a lot. The far left of the party is fucking crazy, okay? That's nobody can deny that. I fought with the far left, honestly, probably more than Owen has. When it comes to insane people, there's a reason why I'm banned from Twitch, and it's not conservative, it's because of crazy people on the far left. That being said, something that I think is good to keep in mind is the far left is politically non-existent. There are no far left lawmakers. Even people like AOC and Bernie Sanders now are called Israeli genocide supporters by the far left. All of the college kids have now abandoned, Ilan and Rashid, all of the Justice Dems and Bernie are all completely, off the table now. They're not radical enough for them. So I think that trying to win with the largest margin possible, so that on social media we can continue to ignore these people because that's the only place they exist, is important. But the radical element of the Republican Party is 95% of the party. Okay, the last YouGov poll I saw, I think said that 25% of conservatives, probably Owen included, believe in satanic sex cults. Okay, that Hillary Clinton and Podesta belong to. Okay, where they perform blood sacrifice rituals on children. All right, this is and 80% of conservatives, Owen definitely included, don't believe in the results of the last election. This is the big majority bulk of the party, and that is very scary, and it is a huge problem. So I agree, far left is super fucking cringe. I hope that Kamala wins with enough of a margin that we can safely eject these people and never listen to them again. They can all go vote for Jill Stein.
I'd like to address you for a second too, if you wouldn't mind. So I think what is important for young people, you can stand, you can sit, it doesn't matter. I think what's important for young people to understand is the broad difference between what the right wants to do politically and what the left wants to do politically. You're going to have issues you agree with some leftists on, some conservatives on, and that'll probably go on the rest of your life. You're more of a centrist. But I think you need to understand what the core is of the modern day left, and this rings throughout history. The American left, the Democrat Party, cannot exist without power. They need power. They want to tell you what kind of car you can drive. They need power to do that. And so that's where the left goes, where the right wing believes more in self-government. We want you to decide. So yeah, you might have to say, well, I guess if I believe an electronic car is better for the environment than a combustion engine, then I'm going to drive an electric powered car, but you know, maybe my neighbor I think is a worse person because he doesn't drive one. That's the difference between self-government and the government deciding what you need to do. So they need power to do it, where the right wing believes in self-government. So I just think it's important to understand kind of the core principles. I want to address something you just said, you know, satanic cults. Again.
Oh no.
Are you going to deny that there was an Epstein Island? Are you going to deny these Diddy parties where they're having all these things?
Wait a second. How many photos was Kamala Harris in with Epstein?
No.
How many photos was Donald Trump in with Epstein?
Did you read?
See the silence?
Did
Crazy,
you read?
isn't it?
There's no silence. You just won't shut up. Did you read the WikiLeaks emails in 2016? Did you hear about Abramovich? Did you hear about the spirit cookings? Did you hear about the children in the hot tub for your entertainment? Did you read these emails? This is all public information. Anybody in this room can go look at the WikiLeaks emails. The Democrat committee emails invite Marina Abramovich to spirit cookings, and they have children in the hot tub for your entertainment. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, go home, look it up. It's all public record. It's all real.
Wait, all of
so
that is
you
public
can
record?
laugh it
All
up.
of that is real? All of that is super true?
Yes.
Why didn't Donald Trump do anything about it?
I wish he would have.
So then why would you elect him again? He failed.
Because I vote
He fired
pragmatically,
Comey, he put in his
and
own
I
guy,
know
he
that this
fired his
country
AGs,
will be
he put
better.
in his own guys.
See, you exist in a cult. I don't. I'm a
The guy
pragmatic
you're
voter.
advocating for is a fucking loser. He failed on everything you want. At least I can point to Biden and go, look at the CHIPS Act. Whereas Donald Trump said, we're going to tear up China and bring back manufacturing. Nothing happened. At least Biden got a bill passed and did something. Whereas Donald Trump said, we're going to do more for infrastructure than we ever have. He did fuck all. At least Biden passed the infrastructure bill, right? When Donald Trump talks,
That's going
he
so
fails.
well.
What's
So
going
hey,
so
so
well?
hey.
The infrastructure bill? Yes, it is.
So
There's
through all
been
the
a ton of
babbling,
money, more than ever
just
before,
if
allocated to
I
domestic
understand. It
construction
sounds
projects.
crazy, brother. Believe me.
I love Destiny. Look at my shirt, bro.
It's a great shirt. I'm sure he made some nice money off that shirt because he's a capitalist like everybody else. I'm just telling you, I would probably have thought I was crazy when I was your age too. But when you dig into this stuff and you realize your government is extremely corrupt, your mainstream media is extremely corrupt, most of the celebrities that we look up to are extremely corrupt. These are the ones that are telling you how to think. And so yeah, I don't like that. I don't think you should like that. And you would be stunned if you saw what was in those Democrat emails that he's pretending is not true. So you don't have to call it a satanic cult, but you can go look. Marina Abramovich, spirit cookings, Democrat Party emails. You can make up your own mind after you read them.
Why was Trump in a picture with Epstein? Why was he on the flight logs?
Who cooperated with the FBI when Epstein was trying to bring girls into his trafficking ring at Trump's clubs? Donald Trump.
Trump's clubs?
Yeah, Donald Trump. Epstein was at Trump's clubs trying to recruit young girls.
We know he's got security cameras in there because we saw all the documents from the Mar-a-Lago thing. So what, was Donald Trump just sitting there jerking off to it the whole time? Or?
No, he was cooperating with the FBI. He literally cooperated with the FBI. And when did Epstein get arrested?
He cooperated with the FBI.
When did Epstein get arrested? Epstein got arrested. So now the Epstein thing is real. So see, now the Epstein thing is real. Now he has to accept that it's real, and now he's talking about it. Bill Clinton flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane dozens of times.
More than Bill Clinton.
Donald Trump did not. Donald Trump helped bring Jeffrey Epstein to jail and prison. He's the only president that did so. Donald Trump cooperated with the FBI when they were investigating Epstein recruiting young girls. And notice all the people that were friends with Epstein, all the people that went to Epstein Island, all hate Donald Trump.
That'll be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. There are some times that I can listen to Destiny and I think he's not that stupid in this debate. This was not one of those debates. Most of the time I will give credit where credit is due, but from the not shaking the hand to having all these false claims, I just think he made an arse of himself in this debate. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, as usual, guys, please smash that thumbs up button for your boy. Consider subscribing to the channel to help it grow, reach more people. I appreciate every one of you that's here, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.